Welcome back to the Act Two podcast, a podcast for the real life working screenwriter. I'm Tasha Hugh.
And I am Josh Hallman.
And you know we are officially in the spooky season because we are joined by Dave Levinson, horror writer, horror aficionado, most importantly, friend of the podcast.
Thank you. It doesn't feel like Halloween unless I'm here, I don't think, anymore.
100% agree. Now it can start.
The annual Levinson Halloween spooktacular podcast.
Let's do it.
I have a This Week in Writing first that's actually for both of you. So I would like to do it. We don't usually do This Week's in Writings. You got to do it, Dave, because Dave's friend of the podcast. But
I don't have one, though, so this can count as mine, too.
I have one for both of you.
Perfect.
This Week in Writing.
Okay, this is a listener question for both Josh and Dave. And this question comes from Van. So thank you, Van, for emailing us your question. Van asks, since you guys make a career out of selling specs, how many scripts do you tend to write every year? That's the first question. It's a multi-parter.
4.
1 to 2, I would say. You write 4 scripts per year?
I cracked a code. I wrote with Tasha.
Right.
And then I wrote with someone else.
So you just got like 0.5 scripts all over
Correct.
the place. Yeah, adding up. Okay. That is a hack to up those numbers.
It does feel like a hack.
Yeah.
Writing with someone, it definitely, it was like the greatest thing ever. In the sense of like, Tasha, what are you thinking about this, and this? And then she'd figure things out, and then we'd talk about things. And
It's the best.
yeah. How many do you write, Tasha?
None. I write none. This is the first year I've written anything. I don't write specs.
I have definitely had years where I have written none also. And that tends
Yeah.
to be years where I'm working on projects that already exist in some stage of development. And that can be a time suck.
I was just thinking about this year. Okay, I'm going to go back to 2.5 to 3.
Still a good
Still
average.
pretty high.
Yeah.
Still pretty high. Okay, second question. How do you think about financial and selling goals as a spec writer? Meaning, Van wants to know about how you guys manage your time and your time investment in a spec when you know it's not a sure thing that it will ever sell. And you also have to pay rent. So like, how do you manage those two things?
I think the idea of something not being a sure thing, but also maybe it might work out, is the rush that I think is an unhealthy thing that we're all addicted to in a certain extent. But I try not to think about the sure thing aspect of it, is my personal thing.
Yeah, I would definitely say that this is not a career that leads to great stability. Like if stability and getting a weekly or bi-weekly paycheck and having the same salary year after year is something that you value, then this is probably not the career for you. Yeah, it's just like Josh said, it's ups and downs really, and I think it also for me has changed depending on where I am in my life, I guess. Right, like when I was first starting out, I was a single guy, living in an apartment with roommates, and I had not a lot of bills and things that I had to pay for, so I was able to, like, I guess, scrape by, and I was more willing to go through the struggle, right? To when things weren't selling, and the highs and lows when you're in a low, it was just put your head down and keep writing and keep working your way back up that hill, back to the high.
So now how has that changed?
Right. So now that's changed because now I have a family, and our daughter is just started preschool, and so we there's just a lot more responsibilities on my plate, but there are like different aspects to that because luckily my amazing wife has a good job, so when things are slow on my end, she can kind of pick up the slack a little bit, and then when something hits for me, then I'm able to pick up the slack, and we work as a great team like that. And then I also still do production work. I do assistant editing work sometimes, so it's not like I'm just solely, if it's not writing, then it's nothing. That's not how I view it now. I'm like, I have a family that I have to support, and so I got to do what I got to do to make money. And sometimes that's solely from writing, and sometimes that's from picking up other production work. And it's just, it's really just, it's something that, if you love it, if you really love it, and it's something that you really want to do and feel like you need to do, then you just make it work.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that? Have you found now that you do have a family and time and money is just tighter, or you just had to pay attention to it more? Is that time risk management thing that we always talk about with writers, meaning like where you choose to spend your time versus, spending it elsewhere on this spec or on an original or developing with something or trying to pitch OWA, like that time risk management conversation, has it changed at all from when you were single Dave in an apartment? And if so, can you explain how?
It has, yeah, it definitely has. I guess the way that I would explain it is just that, when I was just single Dave in an apartment, I was that version of myself. I was willing to spend like every free moment that I had writing, right? Working on something. Where if say I was working a production job, then I would get off of work at 7 o'clock or whatever, and I would go to like a late night coffee shop, and I would write from 7:30 until like 11, 4 or 5 nights a week, and then I would spend 4 or 5 hours a day on Saturday and Sunday writing as well. I can't do that anymore, and I don't want to do that anymore because I now have, a wife and a daughter that I want to spend time with, and that I want to be present for. And I've been really lucky to be around my daughter a lot in the first 2 years of her life, and that's been like an amazing gift. And it has kind of shown me what is most important to me, and it's that it shifts the way that I guess view or like plan the day as far as my writing time. I'm interested to hear how Josh feels.
I think now more than ever, I am much more particular about what to write and spend time on. And like I'll pass ideas past you guys. And as you both know about me, so I will just say things that I get really excited about in the moment, and then I have to like sit on it for like 2 weeks, and I'll actually like forget that I ever had talked about it. But in that moment, I'm like a dog like with like a tennis ball. So I'm much more selective in the stuff I'll spend time on.
What's interesting is I feel like my answer would also be very similar. I used to be way quicker to just dive into something and just start working on it, start writing it. And now I think because of that time risk management element, Josh, everything that you just explained, like way, I guess, a little bit pickier with my ideas. And I try to really, really test the concept and, make sure that this is the thing that's worth spending that time on. I almost think that I have swung so far in that direction that it's like a little bit of a detriment. And I'm still kind of working to try to find the happy medium there.
Yeah. And I think as life changes, we're always trying to adapt to the new life that we have and the time that we have. Yeah, those are great, guys.
Yeah, that got way deeper than I was expecting coming into
I love
this.
it.
Yeah.
Now, I have one final question before you start our topic. What are you dressing up as for Halloween?
Well, Sophie, my daughter, for months said that she wanted to be a fairy. And then like 2 weeks ago, she suddenly changed and said that she wanted to be a witch. And so we got her witch costume last weekend, which she was just, obsessed with and putting it on and running around and just in love with. And she's 2.5. So this is the first Halloween that she's actually excited for and very conscious of, which is very exciting for me. And so I asked her what she wants me to be. And she said she wants me to be a vampire, which is just like a dream come true that she wants me to be a horror character.
Yeah.
This is going very well so far.
I'm actually wearing the shirt that I'll probably wear. It's a Slytherin shirt. My daughter's going as Hermione Granger.
Amazing.
And I have another Hogwarts jacket. She's into Harry Potter, man. This always happens.
Yes.
It's every year around this time, Harry Potter just pops back up like
good
with a vengeance. It's really great.
Correct timing.
Yeah. Tasha, what are you doing?
I'm going to be Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows. Do you guys know this show?
I actually have not seen it. I know of it, but I've heard it's very good.
I can tell Josh knows it. And then Paul is going to be Colin, who's an energy vampire who, uh, which is I don't know if you know of this like lore, Dave, of an energy vampire. It's not a vampire who needs blood.
It
They
just
they
takes your
go to
energy.
they go to like really boring cubicle job type places, and it's the guy in the office who just sucks all of your energy, and you just feel so bored around him because of the shit he talks about. And the more bored you are, the more he is fed.
That's
So
amazing.
that's gonna be Paul.
That's that's incredible.
And then Indy.
There is a hellhound in the show that is a golden retriever. And so Paul has been trying to find like devil wings to find for Indy, and all dog costumes suck. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but they're all bad. They're all lame or really poorly made. So we're struggling with the Indy costume.
You should have Indy go as Good Boy.
Yeah, but what is that costume?
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. just as a dog.
He just has to react to ghosts all over the place.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Put actual ghosts around the house. All right.
Okay, we can move on to our main topic for today, which is our favorite villains. Who they are, why they are our favorite villains, and what writing lessons perhaps we can learn about why we love them so much. And we're just going to jump in. We're going to just start with Dave, do you want to start?
Okay, yeah, I'll start. So without a doubt, my favorite horror villain is Michael Myers from
Okay.
the Halloween franchise, who I was just obsessed with as a little kid. Like even before I saw the movies, I was obsessed with getting to see the movies because I just remember walking up and down the horror aisle in Blockbuster as a little kid and seeing all the VHS covers of the Halloween franchise and just seeing that, that white blank mask on all those covers, and it just something about it just really, really drew me in. And so Michael Myers has always been just a real figure of fascination for me. And then, of course, I think we've covered this on past Halloween podcasts, but Halloween is probably my favorite horror movie. It's one of my favorite movies, period. And I was trying to figure out when we were talking about, writing lessons, because it's interesting because, right, Michael doesn't have a single line of dialogue in like 40 years worth of movies.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a really strong thematic element to his character, especially in just the original Halloween movie, right? How he's conceived in the original before there's all this mythology and lore kind of piled onto his character in the sequels. Because in the original, he's not even like there's a big storyline throughout the franchise that Jamie Lee Curtis is his sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the original, that's not even the case. He's just this masked maniac who had murdered his sister years ago, escapes from an insane asylum, finds this creepy ass blank faced mask and starts stalking and killing these babysitters. And the way that he's portrayed and the way he kind of moves and carries himself in the movie, I feel like he's a shining example of a human character that is really just a force of nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Michael is the evil and the violence and the anything bad that can just randomly befall you on any given night. And he's a force of nature because he's just got this blank face. He's silent. He doesn't say a word. There are no emotions, and he doesn't stop. Right? He keeps moving forward, and it's never in a manic way. He doesn't run. It's always very steady, and he just keeps going, and he's just going to keep coming after you. And it's like evil as a force of nature that cannot be defeated. And I just think that is terrifying, and also just very, thematically strong, right? Like a great representation of just this fear that everybody has of the bad things that can happen to us at any given moment.
Do we know if Michael Myers was the first kind of like slow moving villain that comes after you? Was that new at the time? I don't know if we've ever even talked about this. I can't remember, but just that idea of this like slow walking guy who just always catches up to you.
That's a good question, actually. I do not know for sure.
I would say like yes and no. Like like when you watch the old, like even black and white Dracula movies and whatnot, there is a sense of like he doesn't need to be fast to come get you. I know vampires now, like, they can, like, zoom across rooms really fast, but, like, those characters never moved fast to come get you, especially Dracula, I feel like. So I think, like, that idea was present, but I mean, that's definitely the first that I can think of.
Yeah.
As far as like a slasher, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Myers not on my list, believe it or not, but he is terrifying.
Iconic.
Iconic. And the idea that you can just blend in with anybody because it's Halloween and you can just walk past kids who are like dressed. It's like the scariest thing. It happens now as you go trick or treating. You could just look at someone and think, is this person like a serial killer? Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just that the mask, right? Just this blank, emotionless face. It's so simple. It's so simple, and it's just a void of it's a void of any emotion.
Like, the scene you're talking about, Josh, at Halloween when he's just, like, walking through, that scene always really struck me because you have this feeling like any one person that's near him could be dead. Like, just instantly dead. And so you're, like, constantly tense because you're like, "Is he gonna kill any of these people? He absolutely could kill all of them without a problem." But he's just walking slowly through them, and, like, that tension that builds in that scene always really creeped me out. And I also something I love about him and, like, speaking to the force of nature aspect is at the movie, I forget his name, the doctor who's, like, pursuing the mystery.
Dr. Loomis.
By the time he gets to the end, he, like, shoots Michael Myers, and you're like, "Oh, fine." Like, the mystery is building, like, the quote unquote cop is coming to save all of these poor young teenagers, and then he does, and then you look out the window and Michael Myers is gone, and he survived even, like, the guy who's coming to save you in the movie. And that to me was also always like, "Oh my god, this guy is like, this is unlike anything I've ever seen."
It's probably my favorite ending of all time. Like, it's
Yeah.
again it's so simple, especially now, right? But it's just so effective. Yeah, he looks over the balcony and the yard is just empty, and then the music kicks in, and then it just
Mhm.
goes to shots of different houses around the town, and you kind of
Right.
hear the breathing in the background, and it's just like he's out there.
Anyone could be next.
Yeah, it's
That's a good one.
It's a great one. Am I going?
Yeah, go.
My boy, Freddy Krueger.
nice. That
Ah!
he was on my short list for sure.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So the idea that someone can get you in your dreams, this unavoidable place that then turns into kind of a sandbox of terrifying scenarios where you don't know if you're asleep, you don't know what's going on, you don't know who's there, you don't know where he is. Number one, that concept alone just destroyed me. So he's like that. I was just in terms of like a villain in horror film, like the concept villain, I think is really appealing. Like that idea of almost like It Follows, like this thing it's just going to keep coming for you and coming for you and coming for you, and you can't avoid this. The other thing I was thinking about Freddy, which always kind of messed me up, was how funny he thought he was, or how like everything
Yeah.
about him was kind of jokey. And now I appreciate it more being older, but as like a kid, I can't remember really seeing kind of like a maniac in that regard, where someone who's just kind of like laughing, telling jokes of these like kids that he's killing, and
Mhm.
that was kind of messed up. And then I forgot, and I had to do a little bit of a deep dive, that the movie's about generational consequences, and like Freddy is the return of what he did to these kids' parents, right? Like he killed people and then the parents killed him. I don't know if that was later made in the lore.
Whoa. I didn't know that.
No, that's in the original.
That's in the original?
Yeah, he was a child abuser, and then
He was a child
the
abuser.
parents of the neighborhood like ganged up and killed him.
I did not remember that.
That alone also is something really interesting because it gives a much more logical reason to why he's coming back and haunting these very specific kids. And I think I already said this, but yeah, the unavoidable aspect of him. He is also like Michael Myers. He will just keep coming and coming. And to be totally honest, I can't even remember how they got rid of Freddy in the first one. Do you guys remember? I was going to go back and watch, but then I was like, I don't even want to. I just want to know Freddy as this guy who haunts people. And he's like this crazy comedic serial killer in the dreams of kids.
Mm-hmm.
Terrifying.
You put it a really great way before when you said like that you forgot how funny he thinks he is. That was a really good way to put it, because yeah, he's so dark, and especially there was sort of an evolution of his character over the series, where like in the original, he's like he's a very dark character, and I feel like he does still have these like little wisecracks and stuff, but it's clearly just him thinking that he's being funny. And then as the series goes on, he kind of becomes a little bit of a more like comic figure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And from a screenwriting perspective, I think it's important to have that in a character where he thinks he's funnier than he is, and he thinks these things he's doing are like they're very entertaining to him. And to me, that's terrifying, because that just makes the person even crazier.
Mm-hmm. It's like they're taking glee in what they're doing.
Absolutely. So he messed me up on a conceptual level, like a concept villain. He's going to get you in his dreams. And then just how insane he is. And by the way, he kills you with the claw. Like that.
Yeah, his design is insane.
The design. I didn't even think about the design. So that's another aspect of it. So that's my first one. It's Freddy Krueger.
Well, that was also my first one.
Let's freaking go, Tasha. Let's.
I can't explain to you how terrified of Freddy Krueger I was as a kid. And here's the interesting thing. I didn't even like horror movies growing up. It was like the only brand of movie I did not like, and yet somehow I still saw all of these, and I don't know how. I don't remember the act of watching them. I only remember the effect they had on me. And I was young. Freddy Krueger, I watched it very young, terrified the fuck out of me. And my mom tried to be like, it's okay, look, Freddy's a real person. And she showed me an article from when the movie came out of like the actor hanging out with the director. And I was like, that makes it worse. It means he is real. So he fucked me up when I was very little. But I will add to all the things that you said, which I totally agree with. And yes, you can't escape him from your dreams, but also like the bed scene where he comes up through the bed really, really fucked me up, because the bed is the one place you're safe. And especially as a kid, right? And the fact that like they've taken that place away, that actually now becomes a place of danger, really, really upset me, because not only like where do you go? Because that's where you go to dream, and you're not safe there. And you go there to get rest after a really long, horrible day. Like they've just taken everything away from you that allows you to feel safe. And I think that when I was thinking about a lot of villains that I could pick, that seemed to be a common thread for me anyways. And I'm sure why they're so iconic is that the best ones tend to take away places that you have just assumed are safe. Like that last shot in Halloween, right? Like all these suburban homes that seem lovely and safe are absolutely now all under threat.
That's an amazing point, by the way, because unlike a slasher movie, not taking anything away from Michael Myers, but you really can't go anywhere. You're going to fall asleep somewhere, and you're going to probably die.
Yeah, as a kid, that was the element of the movie that really stuck with me, was like all the characters trying so hard not to sleep, right? Like popping all these pills and just that fear of falling asleep.
What a concept, man.
Yeah, genius.
So good. Can I just slight curve here? I rewatched the Black Phone 2 trailer at the start of Good Boy when I watched it the other day, and you and I, Josh, had talked about it in I think the like October. Are you excited? And
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And I had mentioned that, the first one wasn't very supernatural, so the second one's concept confused me. And then I remembered that the first one does have like a supernatural aspect to like the kids calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now the second one is interesting. If you guys have seen the trailer, it's basically becoming the new Freddy.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, he attacks kids now in their dreams.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like in the trailer. Yeah, I'm so excited and intrigued to see, how they pull that off without it being just exactly Freddy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I'm sure they didn't think about this when they started it, but that's a really interesting way to be like, oh, how can we keep this franchise going and going and going? We're going to make the new Freddy, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but wow, that's good.
Because like you said, Dave, Freddy has become more comic now than it used to be. And so we're missing like the original Freddy fear factor. So now that's it. That's this guy. It's Ethan Hawke now.
All right, Dave.
Second round.
All right, my round 2 is going to be real boring after Freddy Krueger. But as I was when we were talking about, trying to have good writing lessons come out of these villains, I had a few I was choosing between, and I decided to go with Guy Woodhouse from Rosemary's Baby, which is Rosemary's husband. Because at first because Rosemary's Baby is also one of my favorite horror movies, and so I was thinking about the villains from Rosemary's Baby, and obviously the first place that you go is the old couple next door, Minnie and Roman, and I was like, they are very fun and memorable characters as this like annoying old couple next door. But then I realized that Guy, Rosemary's husband, who was in on the plot to have his wife give birth to the Antichrist, is far, to me, I think, far scarier than the old couple next door, because like Guy, it's just so insidious and gaslighty. And I think the really interesting thing about Guy's character is that, in the third act, after the big reveal that Rosemary's Baby is actually the baby of Satan, Guy tries to convince her that, like, it's okay and that, they can just try again. And, he made this deal with this couple where his acting career is now going to take off and they're going to have this good life and they can just, they can just have another baby. And it's like he's convinced himself that that this deal that he made is an acceptable thing to do to his wife. And of course, he's reaping the benefits, right? His acting career is taking off. Meanwhile, his wife is going through this horrible pregnancy where she knows that something is wrong, and he just keeps on gaslighting the hell out of her. And all the while, of course, he knows that something is wrong as well. And yeah, he's convinced himself that there's no care for her at all, right? It's all about him. And he's convinced himself that, they can just have a happy life after this. And he's made his wife give birth to the devil's baby.
That's interesting. I don't remember Rosemary's Baby. I think I've only seen it once, like a long time ago.
Same.
So I wish I could comment more.
Well, it's amazing.
But you sold me.
I would have been disappointed if you hadn't brought up a Rosemary's Baby reference. I assumed you would. So
yeah, I had to.
Thank you for meeting those expectations.
I
I know that movie inspires you a lot.
Yeah, it's like I tried to go the opposite way of Michael Myers, right? Where Michael Myers is just this blank-faced force of nature, and then Guy Woodhouse is this guy who puts on a loving smile and is there for his wife, and it's all fake, and there's a really twisted psychology behind it. Yeah, so it's kind of it represents to me the other end of the spectrum from Michael Myers.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, my number 2, I think you guys are going to be surprised by.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see this one coming.
What if it's the same one that I have?
I'm going to love that. It's Jigsaw from Saw.
Oh, interesting.
Is that yours, Tasha?
No, it's not. I've never seen the Saw franchise.
That's a great one,
really?
though. He didn't even cross my mind.
Let me see if I can sell you on them. There's all these villains that scared me as a kid. There's a ton of them. But then I was kind of thinking of like ones that I started to appreciate. Freddy being the prime example, by the way, of the scariest. And then I was like, all right, let me think of some villains that I really appreciate. And upon reflection, Jigsaw popped up. And this was before Saw had turned into the torture porn franchise. It's not that I think it's kind of become. And the original Saw, I think, is actually a very clever, well-made movie, Tasha, which I suggest you've seen. And Jigsaw, his thrust, I think, is like, how much do you value life? And he puts people in these scenarios that he thinks he's right by doing, where if they can survive, then they're going to come out on the other end valuing life more than they did beforehand. And he also puts these people who maybe have wronged somebody in these scenarios. So he's almost getting like a payback, and this is their vengeance.
Oh, so it's not random people who are the victims. They are people with some kind of story where you're like, yeah, they need this lesson.
Yeah. Yes, he's basically, in his mind, a philosopher who thinks he's actually helping these people. And obviously there's also the aspect that he's putting them in these absurd scenarios where, you know, a ball's going to roll, and if you don't get yourself out of something, it's going to like shoot you in the head or something like that. I don't know. But and that's kind of and it turns into like basically Final Destination as the Saw franchise. I can't even watch them anymore. But that original one, just this idea of someone's helping you by putting you in this scenario is really interesting to me. And I think I don't think there's a character who appreciates what he did in the first movie, who was like, who got out of one of his things, and now she's kind of maybe his muse, for lack of a better term. Like, she's helping him out a little bit along the way, and she's no, not right. Dave, is that girl in Saw 1? Okay,
It's been a long time since I've seen them, but yeah.
Anyway, the philosopher who thinks he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Also, he's creepy. They got the creepy voice, and the little character comes in, and it's Jigsaw, and it's just freaking weird. And
yeah, he's got a weird mask and stuff.
Yeah, there's also, because he's a philosopher, but there's also, because of these elaborate traps that he creates, there's almost like a mad scientist element to him as well. That he's like, yeah, that's a villain with a capital V. That's a great choice.
I'm so proud.
I think what's interesting too is that usually for horror movies, some of the fear comes from identifying with the victims. Like, that could just be me. I'm just sitting in my home watching TV, and this guy comes through the basement. I don't know. Whereas this one feels like, well, I'm not going to relate to that victim because I'm not that awful person. So then they have to find the horror elsewhere. And what I know the most about Saw is sort of the graphic body horror, I guess, aspect of it, right? Torture porn, essentially, right? And so like that's where a lot of the horror then comes from. And that's where people can start to relate, is like, oh, fuck, what would I do in this situation? Instead of, oh, God, that could be me.
You know the ending of Saw, right?
No.
You don't even know how Saw ends.
No.
I almost feel like you need to watch Saw.
You need to watch this, yeah.
Maybe preserve it, because I may throw it on the October list.
Throw it on the October
Please do.
list. Do we know if Paul's seen it?
I think Paul has seen it.
Okay. Yeah, throw it on the October list and report back.
Okay.
James Wan.
I know. Yeah, I know. Torture porn isn't my thing, usually.
I feel like the first one is not nearly as torture porny as where the series goes.
Yeah.
It's like it's a very contained, cool, thoughtful thriller.
Okay. My next one is Azazel from Fallen, the 1998 Denzel Washington movie.
Damn. Okay.
Oh, nice.
That's a great one.
If you guys have never seen this movie, which I'm assuming a lot of people haven't, it's basically, it has one of the greatest openings in my opinion. Denzel Washington plays this detective who has finally tracked down a serial killer, and it opens with the serial killer on death row, and Denzel is there to just like watch the case finally be completed, right? He's clearly spent years before the movie ever started tracking down the serial killer. And as the guy is walking to the chair, he's smiling and he's singing the Rolling Stones song, "Time Is on My Side." And that alone creeped me the fuck out.
I'll never think of anything else when I hear that song.
Oh, 1000%.
Yeah.
It's all I think of. So that creeps you out, but neither you nor Denzel Washington knows what that means. And then you start to realize that because there's now a copycat killer, that it's not a copycat killer. It is the same killer. It's because that serial killer, that man, had been possessed by this demon called Azazel. And "Time Is on My Side" is a reference to the fact that he's immortal. He can just hop between bodies willy-nilly, no problem. And I believe the rule is through touch. I might be wrong, because I know there's like a rule that he can only survive for like one breath outside of the body. Otherwise, he needs a new body. Otherwise, he's dead. So that becomes like the thing that Detective Denzel Washington is trying to figure out, is how to kill this unkillable thing. And it's this fun mashup of like applying detective logic on how to defeat a ghost, essentially, which is very cool. And like Halloween, I think the end felt so surprising and so satisfying, where you're following this like horror mystery in the same way that like Seven is like a horror detective mystery, right? Denzel is just trying to figure out, how do I kill Azazel? Meanwhile, like, people on the street are turning into him and like giving him weird messages and, you know, doing creepy things to him. People he loves are not safe, and so that creates an urgency for him to figure this out before everyone he loves is dead or he's forced to kill them because, like, you know, his best friend ends up turning on him at one point and he has to kill him. So at the end, he's finally figured out how to kill Azazel. He's won. And you feel so satisfied because Denzel is such a genius for figuring out finally how to do this. The mystery is solved. And then a cat walks across the scene. And you realize that Azazel is still alive and that he is in the body of this cat and he actually won. And that, like, completely blindsided me as an ending because I think, too, I mean, at 1998, I was a young lass. I was like, happy endings are real. And then you go and do this to me. And I just thought that was kind of genius. Because also Denzel, you expect a happy ending for Denzel, which I think is just fantastic casting as well.
I forgot about that ending. So good.
It's so good.
It's been a while. Such a good movie.
I've actually only seen that once. And yes, I remember, 98, and that's like peak Denzel. And you're like, I'll see anything Denzel. And that's also kind of that time period of the Seven, like those just kind of psychological thrillers. But the only thing I do remember about that is like being unsettled watching that movie. And just, I almost like didn't like the way I felt watching it. So I was like, I don't even think I've seen it since then, to be honest with you.
Because also, every person he goes into, there's this like iconic smile that kind of forms on their face.
Yeah.
It's like the same smile that everyone has.
That scene where he is out on the street as he's like just realizing what's happening.
Yeah.
And it just is passing from person to person on the street and they keep looking at him and giving, shivers.
Yeah.
Shivers.
It's so great.
Because it's like, that I think there's this element of like hopelessness from Denzel's point of view, right? Because like when you're standing there on a busy street and you're realizing that this evil entity is just jumping from person to person, and there's literally in that moment there's nothing that he can do about it, and it's like a taunting so good.
And you can't tell anyone about it. No one's gonna believe you. And you can't kill the person because A, they're just gonna jump to someone else, so that person is technically innocent. But B, if you're seen just strangling an old man on the street, you're going to prison.
Right.
It's your fault. So like there's no getting out of it, which is also, again, part of what makes horror movies, if you can find that. And I think that that's like an interesting twist on it, because it's the same issue with Freddy Krueger. There's no getting away from it. But this is a totally different movie that has the same problem.
Do you know who wrote that?
Yes, I do.
I can tell you who's going to reboot it.
Nicholas Kazan. Nick Kazan wrote it. And then Gregory Hoblet? Don't know. But he did Primal Fear, which was another incredible movie. Frequency,
That's
which
Richard
is a
Gere,
movie Josh and I love.
Oh, man. Frequency.
Yeah.
Frequency's great, yeah.
So he knows his thriller shit, man. Primal Fear. I mean, that's a villain, by the way. Okay, sorry. That's fine. That's my second. All right, Dave, give us your bonuses.
All right, my bonus is, and this was my number 2, and then I bumped him for Guy Woodhouse, but Pennywise the clown, is just, iconic. I feel like the scary clown character is such a trope, right? And Pennywise is just the GOAT. I think he's the greatest who ever did it, because it's actually this, if you get into the mythology from the novel, and it's like this interdimensional monster demon thing, but it's basically this terrible evil monster demon that preys on children, and it can present itself in many ways, but one of the main ways that it presents itself is as a clown. And it gains the trust of these kids. It's that, the iconic opening scene where he's in the sewer and he gets poor little Georgie to reach in for his little paper boat, and then things don't end well for Georgie. But it's like just the idea of playing to such innocence and presenting yourself as such a trustworthy figure to such innocent little kids, and then doing the most horrific things imaginable to them is absolutely terrifying. And I feel like Pennywise is definitely got to be responsible for a lot of people who have a fear of clowns.
Yeah, I was wondering, is he what Bruce the Shark is to people who are afraid of sharks?
He's got to be, right? I feel like I can't say that for sure. Like it's not as definitive, I don't think, as Jaws, because that the Tim yeah the Tim Curry, right, and the TV miniseries from the 90s was like just haunted my dreams. And I don't necessarily have a fear of clowns, but I remember trying to watch that at a friend's house like during a sleepover when I was probably like 10, and
Yeah.
I don't think we made it through.
No.
Yeah, yeah, it
That's too
messed
much
us
for
up.
a 10. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good
Mike.
one.
yeah.
All right, I'm going in. This is Colonel William Tavington from the movie The Patriot, starring Mel Gibson and Heath Ledger.
Oh, God.
Before I get into why this could be taken as a horror film, let me tell you some of the atrocities this colonel has done.
Mm-hmm.
He murders Mel Gibson's son. He shoots him. Just this boy's he murdered some son. I forget the name of the son.
Yeah, he murdered his younger son.
Murdered the younger son, number one.
Mm-hmm.
He burns a church full of civilians. They all die burning alive.
He locks them in and burns them alive. And even his evil captain is like, "Sir, are you sure?" And he's like, "Burn it. You question my command?"
He executes prisoners of war, including people who are surrendering left and right, because he's trying to make an example out of everybody. Just boom, done, done, done. And by the way, Dave, when he does this, it is with malicious, cold intent.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say he's played by Jason Isaacs?
I mean, horror icon, right? Am I
Horror
right?
icon. Finally, what I think is the biggest kill is that he kills Mel Gibson's eldest son, Heath Ledger, in what I remember as like a long build-up.
Josh, spoiler alert.
Yeah, big time spoiler. And what I remember, it was a build-up of of Ledger dying. And when he dies in the movie, you're just like, what in the actual shit? This guy, like, this was like peak. No way he's actually going to kill this person, and he ends up killing the person. So those are a couple of the atrocities that he's committed.
Sounds like an evil dude.
He's an evil dude, and granted,
Super
is
evil.
this a horror film? It might not be considered a horror film, but just for the sake of the podcast, I'm just going to call it a horror film because I don't have a good argument for it. I was going to try
There's
to
a
go there.
very iconic horror moment in it with Josh, which you might remember, where after the sons have died, poor Mel Gibson is now estranged from his family because he's on this mission to like hunt down Jason Isaacs, and he kills Mel Gibson. Basically, he does this ambush attack on British soldiers, and when he pins one down who's running away. So again, Mel Gibson starts as this like nice, kind farmer man, and cut to all this trauma that's caused by Jason Isaacs has caused him to ambush a bunch of soldiers. One is running away. Normally, Mel Gibson would be like, "That guy's fine. He gets to live." No, he is so possessed by his own revenge from Jason Isaacs' villain that he chases this guy down and starts hacking him with an axe. And it doesn't stop. It's like a minute-long scene of him just hacking at this guy's back until there's just blood is just flying
Damn.
like crazy. He's dripping in it. His hair is dripping in it. And it just lets you sit in there as he's crying and he's hacking this guy to pieces. Horror movie moment, Dave. Am I right?
So it's a slasher.
There we go.
It's a
Yeah.
slasher.
Okay.
And if I may just to add on to this, and this is kind of the stuff we've already talked about, and I wrote this down about him. He's to him, he's logical. Like, he's not this insane guy. He's a very logical individual. And I think he believes in making fear as a weapon of war. So he's trying to, create fear so everyone kind of falls in line. He's got like a desire for recognition. He's got a detachment. I remember seeing him when I was younger and just being like, there is no way this guy can keep doing what he's doing. And he just keeps killing. And it's the craziest kind of leveling up throughout a movie that I, at that time, and maybe even till now, I still think about it. Like, I think about this movie often.
I think about this movie often as well, and I appreciate that you do too, because I thought I was alone in the world.
No, you are not. We stand together on the Patriot.
This is your guys' Roman Empire or whatever.
Yeah, it is. There's this incredible scene where he's done all these evil things, and you're like, this guy's just a psychopath. That's all that he is. And then you find out that he's not really a to your point, Josh, there's like logic there, where there's a scene where he's like standing over a map with, Colonel Cornwallis, and you can tell that the reason why he's doing all this is actually because of massive insecurity, because his family's wealth has been taken from him back in the UK, in England, and his only shot is if they win this war and he gets land here and he gets to live here. Like otherwise he's essentially homeless. And then suddenly you're like, "Wait, I have mixed feelings because now I understand this man and why he hates Americans and what the fuck he's doing." But he's still absolutely evil and you want him to die.
I think that's always like the scariest, when there's a rationale and when the movie makes you kind of almost see things from their perspective, right? And gives you that moment of pause where it's like, wait a second, if I was in this guy's shoes.
Last thing I'll just say is we should maybe do a breakdown of The Patriot.
Yeah, yes. 1000%.
After
yes.
having this conversation.
The last thing I want to say is that another, I think, writing element that I really liked about the Jason Isaacs villain there is that the way people react to him helps you understand why, or helps you understand that he's so evil. Like I said, the captain version, because the captain was an absolute asshole, and even he pauses at the thing that Jason Isaacs wants to do. And then later, Cornwallis, who is the general of all of the Brits who are doing all of these atrocities, even he is like, "Whoa, dude! Like they all view him as a psychopath," which really helps in writing. Like I noticed that, in really good books, for example, someone walks through a room, often the really good author who's behind this is not writing about the person walking through the room. They're writing about people's, opinions of that person, their observations of that person walking through the room. And then suddenly you now have an interesting sort of specific opinion about that person. So that is a writing tool that I feel like I don't use enough, and I love it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's it. Did we do it? These are our villains. No, Dave has one more because he has 4.
But I don't really have an explanation or argument. This is just a shout out, I think, to Stu from Scream.
A special shout out to Stu.
Yeah.
Just, that one also fucked me up.
He's so Matthew Lillard. He's so incredible in the last 30 to 40 minutes of that movie. After you discover that he's the killer, and Billy, his partner, has this great reason and rationale to what we were just speaking to, for why he was doing these killings. It's right because it's very, very, very personal to him. And then Stu was just yeah, it was peer pressure. And he's just kind of along for the gleefully along for the ride. And yeah, his one line when he finds out he's on the phone with Nev Campbell's character with Sydney, and she tells him that she called the cops, and he's just my parents are gonna be so mad at me.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah,
yeah, I remember
that. Yeah, he just absolutely owns the screen in the last 30 minutes of that movie. So he's on my Mount Rushmore.
One way that Ghostface Scream fucked me up is that there must be this moment. I don't remember it in the movie, but when I was a kid, I was always afraid I would always get water in the middle of the night. And after watching Scream, I became afraid because as I turned the corner of my kitchen, there was a glass sliding door, and in the movie you can almost it adjusts and you can see someone staring out. But when you're just in the house, all you see is the reflection of what's inside the house. And so I always remember being so afraid to get water for a very long time because I was afraid I'd see Ghostface staring back at me through the glass.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Ugh.
I also had a long-standing fear of getting water in the middle of the night, but it stemmed from The Sixth Sense.
Oh,
with all the cabinets.
Well, no, it was the way that I would, from my bedroom, that I would get to the kitchen and step into the kitchen, and where the sink was located, it just was the exact same angle as the shot of when the boy in The Sixth Sense walks into the kitchen in the middle of the night, and there's the woman in the bathrobe that he thinks is his mom, but then she turns around and it's not his mom. Which that scene just fucking terrified me. And then for several years after that, I just refused to or no, it wasn't even about getting water. It would this was torture. My bedroom was we had a finished basement, and this was when I was probably 13 or 14, and my bedroom was in the finished basement, and so I'd have to go upstairs to use the bathroom, but getting to the top of the stairs would be stepping into the kitchen from that angle. And so I would just refuse to get up to go to use the bathroom in the middle of the night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Trauma. Yeah, trauma.
All right. Those are our favorite villains. Quote of the day. Monsters in movies are us, always us, one way or the other. John Carpenter. Please remember to rate and subscribe. Follow us at ActTwoWriters for more awesome writing stuff. You can follow me, Tasha, at Story Thursday on Instagram or on Twitter at Tasha 3.0.
I'm Joshua Hallman on Twitter, Josh Hallman on Instagram.
Dave, thank you for joining us for our Halloween episode.
Thank you guys for having me. Always a blast.
As always, the Act Two podcast is a production of Act Two, network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. This episode was edited by Paul Lundquist.